Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bracket Show. Home stretch, guys. We're getting there. We got 4 more weeks of the bigger ones, and then we get to our final brackets. Taylor,
Yes.
how are you?
Well, I had a work meeting today, so that was
Work
fun.
meeting on your day off.
Work meeting on my day off, when literally Sunday has to be my day off because we are not open on Sundays, and then I had to go to a work meeting. And then people kept coming
Crazy.
up acting like we were still open because we were all there and our cars were there, and so people were just assuming we were randomly open. And I was like, "This is not what I wanted to do today."
Do they
Anyway,
not understand what Chick-fil-A is?
apparently not. I don't know. People are stupid. I've
Sundays are
learned
sacred.
I've learned that. So yeah, I went to a work meeting today, and yeah, that's been my day. I don't know. Do I have anything else going on? I don't think I've had anything
not right
else
now.
going on.
Our
No.
lives are work and wedding planning. Yeah. Well, and then I've been playing a ton of Last of Us and PlayStation games when I'm not working. It's basically my sleep, PlayStation, and work. And that's my life at the moment. It's been good. It's been very good, very enjoyable. Mara, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. I have a cat that is made of liquid on my lap. Oh no, she decided she has bones. The other one is just staring at me. But yeah, we'll see if he'll make an appearance. I'm good though. I'm good. My back hurts, but I'm good.
I hope the cat makes an appearance and just derails the whole show. That's my favorite thing.
Situation normal.
That's my favorite when that happens.
She's just a baby.
Marisol, we're missing Adam at the moment, but how are you?
We're good. He's looking for my stuff ever diligently. Doing good. We have had quite a month. I booked, this was like in March. I overbooked us for concerts in August. So we have just seen everything. We've seen everything from Missy Elliott to Lake Street Dive to Lindsey Sterling. We've had a great concert month. We've been vibing to music all month. So we've been pretty good. Pretty good. Music is pretty cool. Once you stop watching movies every now and then, you realize how cool music is. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, I had a great concert month and we're busy at work and we're good here.
Yes, especially when we can find all our devices.
Oh yeah, no, my phone is gone. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Big yawn.
It was eaten by Uncle Rando.
Oh, it's never too late to start blaming Uncle Rando for stuff. So yeah.
Well, speaking of Uncle Rando, sorry, Adam, you were about to say?
Oh, just that I'm happy to be here. Sorry, I was catching my breath because I was running around, but I finally saw a movie this week, and I won't spoil what it is. We'll get to it. What?
Okay, don't spoil it.
No, well, I'll talk about it in the bracket. I'm just really excited because I finally saw a movie that took a long time. A long time.
Well, I know we're all happy. We're all nice and friendly right now. Uncle Rando.
I want to put a disclaimer out there before we start. I did not catch up on any of the movies that I haven't seen for this week. I probably should have, but instead I was finishing watching the Netflix show one day, and then it wrecked me emotionally for 3 to 5 business days, and then I didn't watch anything else. So I apologize, but if y'all haven't seen One Day, you should watch it. I'm gonna put myself through watching the movie next, which is probably a dumb idea, but I gotta compare. I've heard that the movie's not as good, but it has. Listen, Anne Hathaway and Jim Sturgis together. Sign me up. I'm still gonna watch it.
Again, like music and lyrics, it's one of those movies where I'm like, how have you not seen this?
I don't want to hear it. Okay,
it's like tailor-made for you.
I know.
Pun intended.
Actually, that wasn't pun not intended.
I probably made a mistake watching the show first. I probably should have done it the other way around.
Probably.
But anyway.
All right. Well, missing Marisol, so I can't get her reaction.
She's
right here. Oh, I'm right here.
No, we
His
finally
first
found the
matchup.
phone. We were muting ourselves while we ran around the house looking for it. Yeah, it's cool.
But Uncle Rando really hates you right now. So here is your first matchup. We have. Oh, nope. Sorry, wrong one.
What are you doing?
It is. I got that one wrong. Whoops.
What do you wait? What?
The sky is falling.
I need to just very quickly.
What is happening? Technical difficulties. Just everyone talk amongst
never mind.
yourselves.
Ignore me. Okay, here is our first matchup.
That's what you had.
So we're on
the right one. We are on the right one. I just messed up.
He's panicking and just
hitting the wrong buttons.
Hitting wrong buttons, and I don't know what's happening. Anyway, who's going first? Are you going first? You should go first.
I'll go first. This is not difficult for me at all. I like Train to Busan. Train to Busan is a decent enough movie. It is not Get Out. And Get Out is one of the best films from this decade. It is a top 10 film from this decade. So yeah, no, this isn't close. I'm sorry, but I am going with Get Out. Mara?
Same. Next.
Damn.
Damn.
No,
I mean, we've talked about it at length. It's
I mean,
well
all right,
said.
fine. We won't be labeled a point. Get Out next.
Marisol?
Well, okay, we'll then take this opportunity then instead to this bracket is sponsored by our Sunken Place cocktails that I made.
I was about to drink it without spilling it, but barely. Okay.
So yeah,
I'm
I made
gingerly lift it towards my lips.
No, I made these specifically for one of our favorite movies in the bracket this week, which is indeed Get Out. So that should tell you where we're going to vote. But yes, yeah, I made Sunken Place cocktails, which is kind of that light at the top when he first falls through, and then the sunken place at the bottom of the glass. There's an art to this. And yes, I made us Sunken Place cocktails because Get Out is one of the seminal psychological horror films, maybe just films of the 2010s. And while Train to Busan is a wonderful semi-revival of the zombie movie, a fun pop for foreign film, for Korean cinema, and has a lot more depth than you would expect from a creature feature. It has its moments. It's a solid, great movie, but Get Out is a cultural movement. So here's to Get Out. Toast me. Oh,
yes. I sipped just enough so I won't spill it on the mic.
And its impact is still felt to this day. It is a ginormously influential film. We're both voting for Get Out. Let's move on. Yeah, we're both voting for Get Out.
I can.
Adam, we'll talk about it next round.
All right.
No, wait. I just no. All right, I am voting for Get Out. I'm not going to fight you on that. But Train to Busan is really awesome, and it's fine that we're going to unanimously like move on. But let's take a second, okay? Let's just take a second and just observe what Train to Busan was. Train to Busan came out at a time when the zombie genre was at a point where I, a fan of the zombie subgenre, was a little worn out. I'm a Walking Dead like ride or die. Like I have stuck it out with. Granted, I haven't stuck with the spinoffs, but I've watched Walking Dead more than definitely everyone on this panel, and probably most people you'd meet. And for Train to Busan to come along and to give us this fresh take on the idea, and it wasn't about so much the scares and stuff like that. It was about how they tackled it. And we spent a lot of time talking about Snowpiercer. And I kind of would have loved Snowpiercer and Train to Busan to land against each other, even though it would have been very on the nose. What I think is really special about them is they understand not only the physicality of their settings, but the way that amps up in terms of the structure of the writing. And I think Train to Busan does an exceptional job. I do connect with it, admittedly. I am a single father. And, you know, I'm a bit more involved in my kid's life than the father in this movie, to say the least. But I also identify with it. And I find the story to be very moving. I did not see the spin-off / sequel, Peninsula. I am intrigued by it. But I think for something to be in the zombie realm, to be this distinguished and to have this much staying power and to tackle the themes it does makes it really unique. And I'm not voting for it because that would be disingenuous. I do genuinely love Get Out more. But Train to Busan is well worth being in this bracket. And I just want to say my piece. Thank you.
Fair. All right. Well, with that, Get Out does move on to the next round. Next up, Gravity versus the Peanut Butter Falcon. Marisol, would you like to go first or later?
I'll go first. It's fine.
All right.
I will go first because I rewatched both of these films this week specifically for this because I was like, I don't know. I had seen both of these movies, and out of the gate, I like one of these movies more than the other, but I still wasn't quite sure which one I was going to vote for. That sounds like a weird thing to say, but I definitely wanted to refresh on both of them to be like, how do I contextualize both of these movies? And I rewatched them both, and I did. And I think what's very special about the Peanut Butter Falcon had this kind of Little Miss Sunshine push and energy behind it. The year it came out, it was considered this ultimate feel-good, quirky indie comedy, like with some sadness to it. That was the broad strokes, I think, kind of general consensus of it. I wasn't privy to any of that when I went to go see it in theaters. I went to go see it. I didn't really know a lot about it, and I adored it. Like I adored it. I was so won over by it. And I think part of that is the commitment of all the cast members to it, the earnestness with which they approach all the characters in it. I like the kind of there's a lot of kind of, and Peanut Butter Falcon is not a Midwestern movie. It takes place in North Carolina, but there is a lot of kind of Twain-esque backcountry movies in the bracket this week. More so than a lot of other weeks. And I think Peanut Butter Falcon is one of the best ones kind of that ilk. I think it is sweet while also reminding you it's a movie about outcasts, of all these people who are considered outcasts in different ways, and how they find their own family and connect with each other. And it skips being just kind of icky or too sentimental or too phony or too treacly or it pushes it too far. It just keeps that just kind of just bittersweet, just tempo just a little bit enough to keep the movie from feeling really false while staying a feel-good movie without going too hard into trying to just make people feel good while being disingenuous and not connecting with the truths of the real world without feeling like a fantasy. And I think that Peanut Butter Falcon treads that line really well with a lot of earnest, wonderful performances at its heart from Dakota Johnson, Shia LaBeouf. And Zach, the main character. I forget the young actor's name, but the star of it, the titular Peanut Butter Falcon. And Gravity, rewatched it. Gravity is a technical marvel. It is a completely immersive space movie, so tight, so efficient, so small, and so different than kind of these other, especially in the 2010s. The 2010s, we had such a boom of these space movies, particularly after Gravity. Gravity kind of kicked it off. We got Interstellar, we got The Martian, we got First Man, we got Ad Astra. I'm missing some other ones, but we got just this big boom of these psychologically deep space movies in the wake of Gravity. And I think Gravity, frankly, out of all of them, is the tightest, least weighed down, most crystalline, most straightforward, It's an allegory for for people who have lost a lust for life, for being on the verge of committing suicide and having somebody pull you back. That's kind of the broadest, simplest terms for it. And it's really powerful for being that simple, for being that focused and narrow and simple of a story, with all these fascinating sci-fi elements on top of that to mix it in and keeping it focused on Sandra Bullock. These are both really great movies for completely different reasons that skip kind of the embellishment and over the histrionics and go overly sentimental, and keep the sadness, the bitterness, the bittersweetness at their core for both of them, but have vastly different approaches. I liked both of them a lot, but I think I am going to ultimately settle on Peanut Butter Falcon. And this is gonna sound bad. This is just my personal take. But I guess if you guys haven't learned this about me already, I guess I do pretty poorly with kind of motion sickness in movies. And while I think Gravity is a technical marvel, Gravity, even watching it on my TV here at home, made me like almost nauseous. It made me almost nauseous watching it. I was just like, I didn't even see this thing in IMAX. I saw it in theaters when it came out, but I did not see it in IMAX because I probably would have puked popcorn all over the person in front of me if I saw it in IMAX. No. Gravity is a little bit sensory overload for me, technically, as a film, but I also really admire it, and I know that it was phenomenal for so many people, and I think that is really special. But I'm still going to vote for Peanut Butter Falcon, because rewatching the two, that tugs at the feels more for me. Even though Gravity goes through these big swings, Peanut Butter Falcon tugs at the feels on a little bit simpler, lower, more grassroots level, and that's the one I'm going to vote for.
Mara?
So I don't have normal human feelings. But I really do love Peanut Butter Falcon. I love it for all of the reasons that were just stated. But I'm going to actually lean toward Gravity for the sake of just the technical aspects of it. But also, I have difficulty with movies that are led by a single character, or primarily led by a single character, because if that character does not grab me, if I feel zero empathy for them, if I don't give a shit about their survival, if, like, it's like the Castaway thing. If you don't care about Tom Hanks, if he's not doing a good job, that movie is shit. Like, that is a boring, shitty movie. And I actually really feel pretty drawn to her character, which is also very irregular because I don't usually like female characters very much, or like I don't find common ground with them. Like I can like them. I don't mean to say I don't like them. I just don't usually find that I have any common experience or feel any kinship toward them. But I really did find that there was something about her character that I felt warmth toward, but I felt very, very grabbed just by her in the movie, let alone just, again, the fact that it's just such a visually stunning movie. Oh, you agree? And so I'm going to lean into just the technical filmmaking in that way, because I have a cold, dead heart.
Adam?
Don't sell yourself short, Mara. It's lukewarm most of the time, at least. But I honestly, I really like both of these movies. Uncle Rando proof, both of these, I'd like to say. He has no say in this matchup, so F off, Uncle Rando. Gravity's fantastic, and I say that because I'm the guy who missed out on seeing it in theaters. Very tragic. I wish I had. God damn it. And I'll tell you what, though, I caught up on it years later. I was at my library, and they had the Blu-ray, and I was like, ooh, I can watch it for free. Whoop-de-doo. And it wasn't streaming anywhere at the time. So it was a very, very big minor victory for me. I was excited, and I brought it home, and I watched it. And on my TV, to your point, still very impactful. Made me wish I'd seen it in theaters, admittedly, but still really liked it. I've watched it a couple times since when it's been on cable. really fun. Well, that's a little reductive to call it fun. But I would say that when my point is it captivates me when it's on. Peanut Butter Falcon, by comparison, has this very subtle mythological quality to it that is reminiscent of Mark Twain, but it's also just an evolution of modern cinematic storytelling. It's very casual and comfortable with what it's saying. And I'll admit, my opinion's colored somewhat by the off-screen narrative of getting this movie off the ground. The filmmakers were homeless when they were they were literally living in an encampment, I believe, when they were going around pitching this movie. And to get it off the ground and for it to be as good as it was, and for it to encapsulate a really sweet aspect of the professional wrestling fan community, like the best aspects of it, because we all know the goofy and less flattering aspects of professional wrestling fandom, but Zach embodies the best things about it. That innocence of at least when I grew up, the WrestleMania generation, a lot of us who grew up watching WrestleMania, those of us who appreciate it, it tends to be because it's at a time when you got to put what were to us superheroes on TV fighting on screen, but in good sport. And I say that because WrestleMania 1 was literally Hulk Hogan and Mr. T as a tag team. It was silly. It was based on their popularity of being in Rocky 3 together. And they put them as a tag team together. It was very, very amusing. And I'm saying all this because Jake the Snake's appearance in Peanut Butter Falcon is perfect. He's washed up himself. He's past his prime, but he does everything he can to sell Zach's moment. And I think that's just really representative of the story at large. I'm going to vote for Peanut Butter Falcon as well, but it's with the acknowledgement that Gravity is a movie that I think is unique among Cuarón's filmography. And I think the fact that it blew people's minds in a theater, but can hold its own on a small screen says everything about its quality. And I think it's an excellent 90-minute movie that makes the most of everything it's doing. But Peanut Butter Falcon feels really special to me, and it comes from, it exists out of sheer grit and no other reason. And I find that so special about it.
So Marisol, you saying that you can't that Gravity makes you uncomfortable and gives you motion sickness and makes you oh God, that's kind of a big reason why I love this movie so much. I love this reaction to this film, and I love that feeling sitting in there and just being in awe of just of the sound design, to the technical marvel of this movie. I think what Cuarón does with this, I think this is Cuarón's best work. I think what he does with this film is phenomenal and just absolutely incredibly talented as a filmmaker. There's parts of it that don't quite gel as strongly. The George Clooney dream is weird, but I also get why it's there, and I kind of I get it. It just is a little weird to me, but for the most part, I really love Gravity. So yeah, I think Gravity was unfairly maligned as the villain of the year of the Oscars because it was going up against 12 Years a Slave. But 12 Years a Slave is a better movie, don't get me wrong, but Gravity is still an incredible movie. So I'm voting for Gravity. Taylor?
Well. Maybe Martin hasn't seen either of them go last. Love that for me. All right, you're about to get some Taylor logic here as to how this is going to happen, because I literally have nothing to go off of outside of just making something up. So I don't ever want to see either of these movies, but There's one that I would put myself through more.
Oh God.
When I watched Underwater, I literally thought I was going to have a panic attack and had to almost leave the theater. I feel like Gravity would do that to me as well. But I would sooner put myself through that than having to put myself through a Shia LaBeouf production for any reason ever.
I knew you were going to say that.
So I apologize if that offends anyone, but I don't give a fuck. I would put myself through the panic attack before I would put myself through a Shia LaBeouf movie.
I didn't think you were going there. I thought you, because I remember you after Underwater and you were like, I will never do that ever again.
This is true.
Hey, Taylor, remember that part where the guy in Underwater is vaporized? I'll never forget.
Remember the part where like 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in, I looked over at you and I was like, I think I might throw up. That was fun times.
And then you went, hang on, wait, we're like an hour from home because we were still far away and you were like, oh, I'd have to go sit out there. Oh, no. Nah.
Anyway, panic spiral. Here we come with Gravity, I guess. That's what's happening.
All right. Well, with that, Gravity does move on. Next up, Happy Death Day versus Kong Skull Island. Well, I'll give you two movies you have seen.
Oh, this is it's not upsetting necessarily, but it's a bummer because I like both of these movies. I'm a proponent of Kong Skull Island in a way that most people are not. So this is interesting. I think for me, it's just going to come down to there's one of these that I think about more and one that even though I haven't actually rewatched it more like I would, like I feel like I would rewatch it more. And that's Happy Death Day. Like I will be the president of the Skull Island fan club if I have to, when I have to, because I just have a lot of fun with that movie. But I just think Happy Death Day, and we've touched on it as we've talked about it throughout the brackets, but it's really what it accomplishes is awesome. Like in terms of genre, in terms of kind of, breaking a lot of people's expectations of what it was going to be and what it could be, especially with getting a sequel and everything. So just in the context of everything, it's definitely going to be Happy Death Day for me.
Adam?
Kong Skull Island really hung in there, man. That is... It's pretty impressive. And Kong Skull Island is a movie that grew on me with rewatches. I may have admitted this in a previous round, but when I saw Kong Skull Island in theaters, I remember I'll be honest. That particular day, I was traveling a lot for my job at the time, and I realized I could catch a showing of Skull Island close to my house at the end of the day. So I brought a little flask in there. I'll be honest. I know. Yeah. Call the Modesty League. But like, honestly, what happened was I was in there and I just remember from that initial like meeting between like John Goodman and Richard Jenkins, I opened that flask. And that first viewing of that movie, I will admit, was quite a ride because I got a little buzzed and I had a good time with it and it was fun and it was just a really fun way to unwind that particular day. And I appreciate Kong Skull Island for that memory. I've rewatched it a few times. I think it's fun, but all of the like really like aggro Vietnam stuff feels quite silly. I'm not like offended by it, but I find it silly. And Kong's constantly shifting scale is amusing as well. But it is ultimately an entertaining movie. Happy Death Day though is enormously clever. The sequel is fun, and I enjoy rewatching Happy Death Day. I enjoy catching snippets of it on TV, and I think Jessica Roth needs to be in a lot more movies than she is. So let's get more of that. And also Christopher Landon. I really like what he's doing with these movies with Freaky. I'm on board with him taking these familiar premises and doing it through a horror comedy lens. And I honestly was relieved when I heard he left the recent Scream sequel. I don't think he needs to deal with the Scream franchise right now. I want him to keep doing more stuff like this. And I vote for
when it was Scream 7 and not whatever the hell this new one's going to be, I was excited for him to direct it because I was like, oh, the guy who did Happy Death Day and Freaky, I would have loved to have seen
admittedly as well.
I was too. But as soon as that everything that happened with Scream 7 happened, I'm glad that he went, no, I'm stepping away because like, yeah, I'm so yeah.
Because at that point, even if like he, felt good about the direction they were going, it's like there's no way to not have there be some weird like emotional, like it was just going to be weird. Like there's going to be some weird tension there just with the way that everything happened. And I would have felt bad if that affected like his ability to really be able to do the movie he wanted for the franchise. That would have been so sad.
Yeah.
He's so good at doing his own thing. And
and that's what I'm excited about.
Freaky was I think a confirmation that he's not just a Happy Death Day guy. Like, yes, he has a shtick, but the shtick works. And Freaky cracks me up. That movie's hilarious to me. I'm not trying to oversell it for anyone, but I think that movie's really, really funny. And I love the Happy Death Day movies. So there you go.
Mara?
Sorry, I'm taking cute videos of the cat hunting in her sleep and then going.
They're little old men.
I agree with all of the platitudes of Kong Skull Island. I love the big monster punchy movie, and I love the stupid Dear Billy bullshit, and I love Samuel L. Jackson just having absolutely no reason to blame Vietnam on a giant Kong, but he just does.
Yeah.
His his insatiable bloodlust and desire, to kill him just makes zero sense. I love it. I do. John C. Reilly, just a little bundle of joy in that movie. But it isn't Happy Death Day. Happy Death Day so successfully genre blends, and it's so singular because there are, this doesn't always have to be the standard by which I make a vote of something. There are other good King Kong related pieces of media, several as a matter of fact. Happy Death Day is so very singular. It and its sequel with what it chose to do, and I think that it set a goal for itself and it accomplished what it set out to do, which is so very hard for a filmmaker. And it also comes down to performances also. Adam called out Jessica Roth. And even the supporters are just really, really great to kind of fill out the world in a colorful way. And I'm not saying that like people phoned it in Kong Skull Island, but they don't really have to be anything more than just archetypes. Because name me one character. Can you name me the name of one character in Kong Skull Island?
No, just Shea Wiggum because he's weird. And I don't know his character.
You have a disproportionate obsession with Shea Wiggum.
I do.
Sure.
Like Thomas Mann is in that movie, and I love him, and I don't even know his character's name. You know what I mean?
No, we just know the actors. Like I'm just like, I'm good for him after Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, like we all know that like the main character is Teresa, and they call her Tree because I was so fucking confused. I was like, her name is Tree. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many distinctive things about Happy Death Day. So I love that it's come this far, and I'm excited that it's going to continue. But Happy Death Day, FTW.
Marisol?
Yeah, doesn't matter at this point, but I'll still put in my 2 cents here. Happy Death Day, which I finally actually watched start to finish. I had seen so many pieces of this movie and knew that I liked it, like regardless. I had plenty of good things to say about it. But I finally, for this week in particular, the bracket, actually watched it start to finish. Yep. Just was more of everything that I already loved about it. Yep. Jessica Roth. She's like the edgy Blake Lively. Her stares, her glares, her demeanor, her comedic timing, like
her annoyance with all humans,
her disdain,
which I love,
her blatant disdain for everybody around her, just so physically well, the physical comedy just in her expressions. Chef's kiss. And it really takes, again, like you guys were saying, it takes a key performance takes us to the next level. Such an extreme high concept like this to the next level. This is what actually sells it and makes it and grounds it and makes you care and makes you invested. And she delivers then some in Happy Death Day. Really lame finish. That's the only thing that, like, one of the, like, the sides I'll say about this movie. Really lame killer reveal, I think. Watching it, just a letdown from the rest of the movie. I thought that was the least creative part, was the killer reveal at the end of this movie. But I do love this Christopher Landon energy where he's like, it's this, but with this. Like, he's like, this is Groundhog's Day, but with this. Or like with Freaky, he's like, it's Freaky Friday, but this happens. And he has taken these inspirations of classic movies and turned them into his own, in true Tarantino style, has turned it into like his own beautiful creation, his own original work. And Happy Death Day was just the taster for what, for what I hope he continues to do. Kong Skull Island is a ludicrously kind of entertaining, but also shockingly generic and also pedestrian in some ways, kind of like Trek and the franchise. I agree what you're saying about kind of the overall Vietnam, like kind of filter on the whole thing. My biggest thing, like one of the things about Kong Skull Island is like the deaths are all really mean, like in it. Like I feel like every time somebody dies, it's kind of like Polka Dot Man's death in the Suicide Squad. It's like a kind of like gotcha. Like when John Goodman dies, spoilers, when John Goodman dies in it, when John Ortiz dies in it, and the bats like pull him apart. And when like Shea Wiggum dies, where he's about to have a
Shea Wiggum's death is and
then the monster smacks him into a mountain, and they're like, psych. All the deaths are so mean, like in Kong Skull Island. Oh my God, Dr. Doom. Toby
Kettles.
Toby Kebbell. Toby Kebbell. I'm like, damn, they did Toby dirty. Like everybody's death is so mean spirited, kind of in Kong Skull Island. I think it's like that's a really weird kind of nasty streak that doesn't kind of fit the temperature, the pedestrian adventure temperature of the movie. And so there's so many things Kong Skull Island is juggling, and I don't think they pull it off nearly as deftly as all the elements that Happy Death Day juggles and nails. So I'm definitely going to vote for Happy Death Day. It's already going to go through. Just wanted to say a little bit because I'm proud that it's made it this far. It deserves it.
As someone who is not a fan of the legendary Godzilla verse at the moment and has not liked any of their movies but one, and that is this one. It is the only one that is good so far for me personally, like that I can sit there and actually be like, this is a lot. I can have fun with this. I can really enjoy it. Kong Skull Island is that. It's like I can have fun with this and really enjoy it. It's not perfect, but it's what a dumb fun monster movie should be for me, at least. Like I can at least have that level for it.
There's a lot of badass Kong action.
Happy Death Day is arguably maybe one of the best like horror movies to come from this decade. Like it's there's an argument there. Like it's one of the best. I don't know. I really love this movie, and it's just a lot of fun and just such a breath of fresh air that you weren't expecting at all to come from it. And it's just, I think it's just that it's fun, and you're right. The cross genre stuff that that Landon's doing, where he's just like, I'm just taking this concept and putting a horror spin on it, and it's like that shouldn't work, and yet it does, and it's just fun, and that's just what I really love about this movie so much. So yeah, I'm also going with Happy Death Day, because it's fucking awesome. So like that's just that. All right, next up, The Martian versus The Revenant.
Oh man, two wonderfully opposite examples of man against nature. You know, just
yeah. Look, I've been on record. I think The Martian might be Ridley Scott's best film from the last 30 years. I love this movie so much. I think it's the most. I think the word that I use for this movie is effortless. It just looks effortless. It looks so. The script by Drew Goddard is so well constructed and so well told that the movie just flows and moves. It is the easiest rewatch, I think, out of any movie we're going to talk about. It's just one where you can come in at any point in the film and it's just like, yep, cool. This is an easy watch for me. I think Matt Damon, this is one of Matt Damon's best performances. He is, again, it's effortless. It's like, I know it's very much, he's being Matt Damon, but I think when he has to go there, he is able to go there really well and not in a cheesy and not in, and never. I always feel like it always feels real, and it feels real and grounded, and while also being, just kind of. This is kind of the one of those movies that is just like, this is what you make. This is the type of movie Hollywood makes, where it's just that they used to make in the 80s and the 90s, where it was just, it's a popcorn film, but it's still actually smart-ish. Like, it's still like, it's not a, like, there's enough there where it's just like, yeah, it's just a good, well-made film that's fun. And I like that. And I really think that Drew Goddard's script and Ridley Scott's directing as well is just, yeah, fantastic. So I'm going with The Martian because I appreciate The Revenant. I just can't, it's not one that I can watch a lot and be like, oh, I am going to willingly dive into The Revenant and rewatch that. I don't love a lot of it. I don't connect with any of the brutality of it or any. So yeah, I just, The Revenant's not my type of movie at all. So I am going with The Martian. Adam.
I really like this matchup because honestly, there's a lot of really good lineups here. And for me, I've always had this headcanon of this, like, and it's not all in my head, but like this little made up rivalry between DiCaprio and Damon because of 97, and how they both
the same year.
I know,
Yeah.
exactly. And then Departed was such a big deal because they were on screen together. And I remember being excited about that. And it delivered because they played two sides of a coin in that movie. And it's so satisfying. 2000's bracket coming next year. But Revenant, Martian. Okay. Ridley Scott is a very interesting filmmaker who does not always, he doesn't deliver 100%, and he's got some stinkers. But what I think is unique about The Martian is you do have the script that's very, very thought out. It's a thoughtful adaptation of the material. And then you have Ridley Scott, who is honestly only as good as his material that he's adapting, whether it's his own or something that's presented to him. And I do think The Martian is quite solid. I find it to be a satisfying ensemble picture. I really love the stacked cast and how they all get different moments. I do appreciate the survival angle of the story. And Mara, you mentioned Castaway, which is, like, I think one of the great examples of these kinds of stories, and it's not that everything needs to live up to that, but I do think The Martian does a pretty solid job of not only going back to a planet that we know well in the cinematic universe because it's constantly explored and reimagined, but I like that The Martian focuses on the reality of that planet more than the potential speculation of what it could mean. when you look at The Revenant and The Martian, you not only have the DiCaprio Damon thing going on, but you also have, these are two very different sides of a dad movie. And I'm saying this from experience. Okay. These movies both appeal to me as a dad. They're both movies like you know what? I could grow potatoes on a planet. You know what? I could survive a bear attack. Yeah, if I gave a shit. You know what? Like that's all it comes down to for dads. It's like I think I could I think I could step up. That's the fantasy for dads. We want to be heroes for our family, for our kids. It's dorky, but it's true. And both of these movies get me on that level. But I will tell you, The Revenant does appeal to like that fatalistic nature I love about storytelling, where it is very, very obvious what it's doing thematically. But I love The Revenant because it's so relentless, and I love the way it's filmed. It's all digital, but it also feels like a film that could have been made in the 1970s. Because of how immediate it is. I love just how, even though time passes throughout it, it almost has this quality, this real-time quality that, not on a 1917 level, but it just clips along in that sense, even though there are time jumps. And the reason I revisit The Revenant a lot isn't because it's like some casual watch. It's because I am utterly compelled by the way it's shot. I love the music. I love the sound design. I think DiCaprio winning for this is appropriate because he has an endless repertoire of performances that are larger than life. Dialogue, wall to wall. Very, very entertaining performances. But the thing I love about The Revenant is The Revenant is that he shuts up, honestly. He doesn't talk much in this movie. Oh. And it is so exciting for me to watch this movie as someone who appreciates DiCaprio's acting capability, and for him to shut up and deliver a performance like this is really remarkable. Thomas Hardy does the opposite of shut up, and I love him for that. He is Tom Hardy in this, and he has one of the many accents that are indecipherable, but I love it. All the scalpings, all the bears, all the snow. I love The Revenant, Jacob. And I'm saying that to you specifically, okay? But I like The Martian quite a bit, but I love The Revenant, and I'm voting for The Revenant.
Mara.
I have just the shittiest reason for my choice. I just have a personal vendetta against the movie The Revenant. I don't need to get into why. I do enjoy The Martian quite a bit. I think it is just like fun space pirate poop farm potatoes, and that's nice. Yeah, I'm not going to go into it. I have a personal vendetta against The Revenant, so I'm going to vote for The Martian. But The Revenant is a very good movie. I don't diminish the movie itself. I just don't. I'm not going to get into it.
Offline, Mara.
Tell.
Yeah. The Martian is definitely one of the most rewatchable movies I've ever seen, and I mean that like as a compliment. As you were saying, it's so seamless and so easy and so effortless, but in a way that like it is easy and effortless because it's so well made. Like the directing is great, the script is great, the ensemble cast is awesome, and the tone that it strikes is great because it has, those moments where it is a comedy and it's genuinely funny, but then it has those more dramatic moments that have to have weight to them, and it does. And it really strikes a great balance of being able to do all of those things while still having a consistent tone. And and making you care about the characters and what's happening. Because if you don't care about Matt Damon's character and what happens to him, the whole movie doesn't work. And I just think that they do a great job. The movie does a great job of, building up the suspense of what's going to happen and creating those emotional stakes while still giving you those moments of levity that you need. And it's just a movie that, as was mentioned, at whatever point you find yourself in it, if you turn on the TV and it's halfway through, or if you're just putting it on from the beginning or whatever it is, like, it's just so easy to sit there and watch it. And I love that. I apologize to Revenant. I have not seen The Revenant. It's on that list of movies I don't know if I can put myself through. Maybe one day we'll get there, but at the moment we're just not there. I've heard. Yes.
Marisol,
Be ready to hear the word "pouch" so many times.
It don't matter now. It don't matter now. But I'm gonna take my second.
Okay,
Jacob, I'm assuming you let me go last because you know where my ass is gonna vote for, and so you so you're like, I'm gonna put her.
Can I
last.
just for those of you who don't know, Marisol has a vendetta against two 2015 movies that are beloved, and and this is one of them.
Look, that again. See, I knew it. I knew that's why my ass was going last. I was like, my ass going last, and it did. And so, congratulations, The Martian. I'm so happy for you.
Okay.
All right, I'm happy for The Martian. Look. I'll be brief because obviously it doesn't matter. But look. I would not have voted for The Martian. I would have voted for The Revenant.
You can vote for The Revenant.
I'm still gonna vote for The Revenant. You're darn right. My vote still counts. I'm still gonna vote for The Revenant. We got two survival movies. That is a great parallel. Two 2015 survival movies. One is obviously more comedic and lighthearted, and one is pretty bleak and stark and fucking depressing, which is fine.
Murdery.
Those are two different approaches. But like you guys said, like, you get on board with your main character or not. And my thing with The Revenant is how freaking smug Matt Damon is the whole movie. How every time he's going to be safe the entire movie. There's zero tension in The Martian for me, which kills it for me. Even if it's a comedy, even if it's a lighter survival comedy drama, there's no tension whether he's going to survive the entire movie. And that destroys me. Right? That pulls me out of that movie. In The Revenant, it's very, very tense, the whole movie, and it is a very bleak movie. It's harrowing. Not that all survival movies need to be this violent or this dark as The Revenant, but I totally agree with you saying. Everything about Leo DiCaprio really pulling a physical performance. And the cool thing, I'll say this, the cool thing about both these movies is they both very vividly break down what you need to do. I love one of the coolest things about The Martian is the science behind surviving on Mars. Like they really do break it down. Like, if I'm going to survive on this planet until somebody saves me, it's like a science nerd gold mine. That part was one of the coolest parts of me, breaking down like how you actually survive on this planet by yourself. Potatoes, pooping, all that stuff. Just less needle drops, please. But and The Revenant, similar way. Like Empire Strikes Back has nothing on like cutting out the belly of a horse and crawling inside it for warmth in The Revenant. So many upsetting but informative and illuminating things about how to survive in the wild with zero resources, not NASA resources, zero resources in a foreign, dangerous, bloodthirsty land. And that's what's so cool about The Revenant. Amazing, a gorgeous display of these natural landscapes. You can't even tell there's a film crew on set, even though it's filmed digitally. I cream about the digital, like the cinematography in this movie. I love the breathing on the camera, the blood on the camera, the breath on the camera. Always be reminded by it's there, the voyeuristic aspect of it, but all just making you feel like at the same time, simultaneously, there's no camera crew there. Revenant is such a great movie. I wish it could have beaten The Martian. It will not today. So enjoy it, everybody. Enjoy it.
She's gonna
Enjoy
hate, she's gonna hate watch The Martian tonight.
I'm not.
You're gonna flip it off the whole time.
Not tonight, but I probably will at some point. Now,
Goddamn these
because it's
potatoes.
going on, so I gotta rewatch it at some point. But I just want to go through this. I don't love The Martian as much as everybody loves it. I cry for the rest of it.
But Jeff Daniels is in it.
I said a couple nice things about it, but all right, fine.
All right. Next up, two fairly underappreciated movies, actually.
Yeah.
Shame versus Vox Lux. This is an interesting one. Taylor, I'm going to let you start.
Why?
Because I'm mean.
Well, I could tell you that already. That was not a question I needed you to actually answer. Thank you for that. Huh. Okay. So, Shame I have not watched in a long time. Vox Lux I watched when it came out, so far more recently. It's a really interesting matchup for a lot of reasons. I think I don't even know how I'm gonna go about this. Oh God. Why did you do this to me? I don't even know where to start with this or what I'm gonna do here. You know, I'm gonna go with Shame.
Okay.
Next.
Okay.
You didn't give me time to put my thoughts together, so that's what you get.
All right. Marisol?
I won't belabor this. This is definitely Shame for me. One, because I'm a Fassbender biatch 100% through and through. I love that man. He's one of my favorite living actors. And I worship the ground he walks on. But it is also a great movie. It is also a great movie about a subject. Both of these movies, let me do the parallel thing that I do sometimes. And both of these movies are wonderful movies about isolated individuals feeling kind of adrift in a very, very modern setting with some past trauma that is making them feel even more alienated in increasingly, in Shame, it's an increasingly hyper casual dating world. And in Vox Lux, it's an increasingly hyper obsessive celebrity modern world, however you want to say it. Shame keeps it tighter and closer and explores sex addiction in a way that is unflinching in true Steve McQueen fashion, very unflinching, and allows you to see the darkest parts of this person without having any kind of editorialism to judge them, but just say, like, this is a struggle that they're going through, and here's them going through the darkest part of themselves while acknowledging they still deserve to come up for air. And Vox Lux is a fascinating. It's fascinating, but so it keeps it so at arm's length. And the structure of it, the chapter structure, is a bizarre choice. I think I don't like to use this word a lot, but I think there is a little level of pretension with Vox Lux, with the chapter element of it. It's cool that Brady Corbett, I like this is his debut feature. I like the ambition behind it. I just think that it's a little overblown and a little shoots. I think it shoots for loftier emotion while remains a little sterile at its core. I don't really know how to say that in a better way. But weird choice to have what's her name from Nymphomaniac? Stacy something. But weird choice to have like a 14-year-old girl and like a 37-year-old woman be played by the same actress. It's a really weird choice. That throws me off so much in Vox Lux. But I do really like Natalie Portman in this, and I like a different aspect of Natalie Portman, and I like when Natalie Portman is able to use her quietness and her vulnerability and her reservedness as an actress shine for about 2 hours. Really fascinating performances. Vox Lux just leaves me a little bemused and puzzled and a little bewildered by the end of it, where Shame really ends me on a really emphatic, emotional, conflicted note for the better. I'm definitely going to vote for Shame because I think it's a skilled director putting his abilities to use pretty cleanly, and Vox Lux is an ambitious and interesting and flawed first feature.
Mara.
Sorry, strange noise. I'm gonna vote for Vox Lux because I actually like many. Oh, the cat is playing with the computer. Fine. I was playing with my phone. It's fine. Sorry, we're hotspotting, so that actually matters. For actually all the reasons that Marisol doesn't like it. I actually think that one of the things I appreciate most about it is it actually feels like it's like an evolution of the type of character or performance, like kind of that messiness to like psychological messiness of Black Swan, except putting it into the like pop culture icon that exists today. Because like ballet is such an insulated community, it's just so totally different. But like Vox Lux is just, it is such a very different thing for people to see her do, although nobody saw that movie, which is such a shame. But I just think that it's some of her best work that no one ever saw and no one ever really talks about. I know it's not gonna go through, and Shame is a fantastic movie, but I don't want Vox Lux to get itself a goose egg, so I'm definitely gonna vote for it.
Adam?
I am happy to say that I saw both of these, not for this week, but for this bracket. I saw them a couple months ago for the first time. They were both worth a watch for sure. And with Vox Lux, I think my biggest takeaway from that is that Natalie Portman is a force to be reckoned with when she wants to be. When she's invested in a role, regardless of where it lands in terms of reviews and acclaim, she's invested. And I think her performance in Vox Lux elevates the material in a lot of ways. I understand some of the big swings taken in that movie, and I don't disagree with it in premise, but I also see Vox Lux as a film that I can envision as a stage play very effectively. Like I it's not that it doesn't work for me as a movie. It worked in a lot of ways, but I saw it and I kept thinking to myself, I would love to see a more abstract conceptual version of this on a stage, because I think in terms of the way it plays with casting and age and time, I think a play is suited for this kind of thing. And it's not that a film can't be, but I think the way it's presented, I think it's a little muddled in terms of the way it's presented. It's so casual the way it's laid out, and it's so literal in certain parts that don't quite line up with some of the bigger swings it takes stylistically. But none of that is to diminish the fact that I found it compelling to watch, and I was invested the entire time. I wanted to see how this movie ended. But Shame, by comparison, is a very uncomfortable experience. But I find it so exciting to watch a filmmaker like Steve McQueen really step outside of himself and focus on something that's really confounding to a lot of people. The idea of not just addiction in general, but sexual addiction, and that this man can't he struggles to connect with people in real life because he's marginalized and he's prescribed his own sexual routine to a point where he's desensitized to it, and he's lost his connection with a lot of what's going on, and none of that is stated out loud. A lot of it's mostly delivered through performance, and then the liberal relationship he has with his own sister is obviously meant to disquiet the audience a little bit, but it's all done in earnest. It's not done for shock value. I didn't watch this movie and find it lurid at all. I found it to be very, very honest and kind of as explicit as it is. There's an innocence to Shame that surprised me, honestly. So I vote for Shame. I found it to be a really focused story. And Vox Lux, I thought, had a lot of interesting concepts. And I think stylistically, it was really, really awesome to look at. And Natalie Portman is fantastic in the movie. She's my favorite part. But I liked Shame more, and I found it more interesting.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Shame. I kind of just echo what everyone's already said about it. It's just such a brilliant look at addiction and just from a extremely talented and wonderful director in McQueen. So yeah, I'm also voting for Shame. All right, next up, Mud versus Winter's Bone. Adam, I'll let you start.
Okay, so I think it's pretty interesting that you did this. Let's see, we've got. So let me think about this for a second. So Mud is Arkansas, and is Winter's Bone Missouri?
Missouri. It's the Ozarks.
Okay, so yeah, this is a true rivalry we got going on here.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Can I also just say I had no intention of this happening because, well, not even that I ever have intention,
likely
but like
story.
Yeah.
No, right, because Mud was not meant to win. Mud was meant to lose to Kubo and the Two Strings, but it didn't.
All right.
Look how enraged Mara is right now about Arkansas slander. Okay.
I don't care. I still have a
Mara,
California ID.
I wasn't born in Arkansas. I have no.
Mara, I'm sorry to involve you in my premise. That was a big swing.
No, that's okay.
Ignore me. I don't matter. So I think Winter's Bone is exceptionally directed. We had a big arrival of Jennifer Lawrence as an actor. But John Hawkes also, like, he's always been around. And a few years ago, we were watching Congo as people do. And the movie Congo. And I don't know if anyone remembers, but John Hawkes is in that movie. And he just shows up and he literally screams and dies. That's all he does.
Yes.
And he's awesome because John Hawkes is awesome. And he's so good in this movie. I think it's a really good story that gradually unfolds about the unique relationships that unfold in a community, not just in this community, but like in any tight-knit community, small town, trailer park, what have you. Like these kind of assumptions and distrusts start to form among people, because one bad day can completely ruin this loyalty between neighbors. And I love that about Winter's Bone. Mud has my vote, though. I gotta say, I love Mud, and I've rewatched it a couple of times, and we were rewatching it recently. It did come at the height of the reconnaissance, as we talk about.
It started the reconnaissance.
I know, but like it also got further legs after like True Detective, because like True Detective by my measure, was like the real like launch of McConaughey into this new era of his career, because he's amazing in that show. But Dallas Buyers Club, Mud, True Detective, those things together all kind of delivered, and he's so good in this. He's a mythological character. We were talking about Peanut Butter Falcon because these two movies have some similar.
I'm happy these two movies are not
overlap
against each other.
Yeah. But of course, Mud still fell against something kind of similar.
Right.
But the two boys in this are so good. Neckbone, and then Ty Sheridan's character.
Ellis,
right. Neckbone is the descendant of Lucas Black's character from Sling Blade. He is the same kid. I'm just saying, like, go back and watch Sling Blade.
Sling Blade.
Okay. All right. Real quick question. No reason. Jacob, have you seen Sling Blade?
No.
All right. Take a drink.
What? Okay.
All right.
You
don't have to tell me twice.
All right, Jacob. I want you to watch Sling Blade, even if it only comes with the 90s bracket.
Save it for the 90s bracket.
Okay.
Yeah. Save it for the 90s bracket.
All right.
Sling Blade will be on the 90s.
No, because I was talking about, I was going on and on. I was like, man, I love Mud. It reminds me of all these things I love about Sling Blade. And then I was like, I'm going to talk about Sling Blade. And I'm like, I bet Jacob has the 4K of that. And
he might.
Yeah, I've never even heard of Sling Blade.
Yeah.
To be completely honest.
Directed by and starring Billy Bob Thornton. It's okay. 90s bracket. Mud has my vote. Let's move on. I could say a lot more, but I think Mud is terrific. The cast is stacked. It keeps the kids' point of view so consistently. It never loses it. Matthew McConaughey is the title character, but he's a supporting character, and that's why Mud works for me.
Mara?
I saw Mud once. It didn't grab me. I also saw Winter's Bone once. It did grab me. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Marisol?
One of my favorite things about this bracket is finding the connections between these two seemingly random movies that get matched up with each other. And it forces me to recontextualize some of the films that I've seen. And the cool thing about Mud and Winter's Bone is they're both kind of about they're both about teenagers. One's preteens, one's like a 16-year-old in Jennifer Lawrence's case. But about both movies are about Midwestern teenagers kind of recontextualizing the mythology behind this man in their lives. And in Mud, it's about these two 13-year-old boys who think this guy, this cool vagabond Matthew McConaughey is like this cool guy. And then over the course of the movie, the more they learn about him, they're like, maybe he's not as romantic and cool and mythological as we thought he was. And they learn a thing or two about relationships and love in their own course. And in Winter's Bone, Jennifer Lawrence is trying to chase her, estranged father, John Hawkes, who has become this kind of mythological figure in the little small town they're in. And the closer she gets to him, the more she learns about him. The closer she gets to hunting him down, because they're going to lose their home if she doesn't hunt him down, right? I've seen Winter's Bone twice, right? The closer she gets, she learns more and more about him. And he becomes this. He starts as this ghost, and he becomes very real. All his flaws become kind of up in front and center by the end of Winter's Bone. Cool parallels with both of these movies. There's a very bleakness to Winter's Bone for sure, but thank God it gave us Jennifer Lawrence. What a star-making performance, in such a unique performance. A teenager protagonist, this no-nonsense, doesn't have time for bullshit, teenage girl who's raising her two younger siblings, Her mother's despondent, pretty much. Her mother doesn't know what's going on. And she's in the center of this like crime, like local town crime, kind of like this crime drama, trying to uncover it. Mud, it's really tight between these two for me. Mud is, like you said very well, a movie about two boys who get caught up in the romanticism of this rebel, this outlaw, you know, and then the more they realize about him, he actually killed somebody, and the reasons why he killed somebody are not as cool as they thought originally.
Neckbone knew the whole time.
Neckbone's a real one. Neckbone,
yeah.
That other boy besides Ty Sheridan in this movie. Ty Sheridan
Ellis was like
star making. There's a reason why Steven Spielberg sucked Ty Sheridan up and was like, that kid, put him in everything. That kid, he's my new it boy. Until Ansel Elgort came along, apparently. But yes, no. I lost my train of thought. It doesn't matter. Between these two, I think I'm going to ultimately vote for Mud. But I really hope that people watch both of these movies because Winter's Bone, it's so close. Winter's Bone is almost an equally just impressive backwoods, middle America fable, like crime-tinged, murder-tinged, mythological fable, which I think it's cool. It's in the same bracket as a Peanut Butter Falcon, because these are both darker movies than Peanut Butter Falcon, 100%. And both are worth people's time. But I am going to vote for Mud.
So much Midwestern darkness, Jacob. What's the deal?
Right.
You're like an American now.
I'm going with Winter's Bone. Just on the strength of Jennifer Lawrence's performance, like that alone is just so. She is so from the second, like honestly, like having. So I watched this film a couple of years ago. So like obviously it was post what Jennifer Lawrence ended up becoming, but if you went into that not like just watching it in the context of 2010, you'd be like, oh. Yep, I understand. Like this woman is going places. She is going to be the next big thing. And obviously she was, but she is so good and so talented in this movie that, yeah, she completely owns the entire screen. I can't think of another debut, and I know it's not technically a debut, but like another just early role that an actress has had where they have owned it this completely, and you're just like, yep, you're about to be the biggest star in Hollywood, and you can tell exactly from that moment. I think the closest is maybe Pretty Woman. Like I think that may be the closest I've had, and for very different reasons. So yeah, I'm going with Jennifer Lawrence just because she is so good in that movie, and yeah. Taylor,
deciding vote. Taylor,
I love when this happens to me.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I don't want to do it.
Gonna have to.
Okay, I haven't seen Mud because I'm not a McConaughey person. I'm sorry. It has to be Winter's Bone.
I'm not mad. Both good, great movies.
But yeah.
I don't like when I have the deciding vote on stuff like that.
That's fair.
Because like it's not even that I'm trying to avoid watching Mud. It's just when I have a list of movies that I need to watch and I need to catch up on it, I'm like, some other movie or a Matthew McConaughey movie? I wonder what I'm gonna choose.
These are both pretty close. Don't feel bad about it, Taylor. Like these are
Taylor.
These are both great movies.
Would I sell you more on Mud if I told you that you get to watch Matthew McConaughey eat raw beans?
It's more intriguing because of that. I'll say that much. Now I'm curious about what that whole situation is.
All right, Adam.
Yes,
I'll let
Jacob.
you start on this one because you can get to explain.
Oh, okay, all right.
Cabin in the Woods versus The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Okay. So, in addition to being the two movies with the most syllables in this bracket, I will say, we've talked about Cabin in the Woods quite extensively. I find it to be a fun little lark of a horror comedy. And for me, the thing that gets me to go back to it the most is Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford. I love those men. I love them in pretty much everything they do. So you put them in a horror comedy. That's just a send up of everything Sam Raimi's ever done. I'm not going to be that mad because Drew Goddard, and I said this when we talked about Bad Times at the El Royale, I think what both of this and Cabin in the Woods and Bad Times have in common is I think Drew Goddard does a good job of like shamelessly delivering on something that might be interpreted by some as derivative. In both of these cases, I think both movies can be interpreted as derivative because they're so reminiscent of, in the case of Cabin in the Woods, Raimi. In the case of Bad Times, Tarantino. And those are just two immediate examples. There are other directors as well that you could, compare them to. But I think the earnestness of the movies is what makes them so fun. I don't find either of those movies to be distancing in the sense that I think some guy is just trying to look cool with his movie. I think these are movies that have casts that are invested in the material and they make the movies really fun. So when I rewatch Cabin in the Woods, I enjoy it because it's not just a horror comedy. It's a horror comedy that's a celebration of the genre with a huge ensemble cast that are all in on the joke. Bad Times at the El Royale is less of a joke than Cabin in the Woods, but still, all of these actors, all these A-listers are bringing their A game to a movie that with a lesser cast may not have been as interesting. So Cabin in the Woods for me is a lot of fun. I'll admit when it originally came out, I was really high on it. And in the years since, I still enjoy it, but it's not one I rewatch as much. And yes, Jacob, yes, I watched The Perks of Being a Wallflower for the first time a week ago. I'm so happy to say it. I've never seen it before. And I'll be honest, the reason why is because I was a little grumpy about it. I get grumpy about coming of age movies. At my age, I'm less and less interested in them. Admittedly, it's an uphill battle. So if you give me a movie, and it doesn't necessarily matter if it's a period piece or not. If it's some movie about like people between the ages of 12 to 18, I'm like, all right, okay, all right, okay, let's go. I'm going to put myself in my try and get myself in the right mindset. And the thing I liked about Perks is it did things that I expected, but it was really focused on the concept of decency among teenagers to each other. And there is pettiness, but the thing that struck me the most about this movie was the effort of acceptance for Charlie among his social group, for him to, and they only allude to his previous trauma, and that part I found very rote and very familiar for coming of age movies. Like, oh, this protagonist has deep rooted past trauma that we're not going to fully explore. Bless you.
Bless me. Okay. Thank
you. We're not going to fully explore right away, but we're going to allude to it. And I found that frustrating from the outset, but as the movie went on, it won me over. And the reason why is because Logan Lerman gives a really good performance in this movie. It's understated. And I just love the realization on his face every time he has a moment with characters in this where he realizes, oh, these are my friends. Oh, I'm not alone in the world. And there's a sweetness to that I really, really connected with. All the 90s stuff was awesome. I love the 90s are my decade and not arbitrarily. A lot of my formative memories are from that decade. And so when we go back to it, because the 90s are going through that now, similar to the 80s, the 80s have been like mined for this for the past 10 years. The 90s are going through it now. And I think Perks is a good example of saying, hey, let's go back to this time, but let's not focus too much on the nostalgia. Let's just focus on what it felt like to not have the internet, to not have cell phones. And that's enough. That really, really reached me for this. That's used so often in horror because horror writers and directors are always like, how can I get rid of goddamn cell phones? Well, we should apply that to dramas and comedies as well, because period pieces are interesting because it's our only form of time travel in a way, which speaks for itself. But I also think it's important to step outside of what we're so familiar with and what we take for granted. And I think Perks does that really well without overstating it. And I voted Cabin in the Woods through a few times now. I've given it its due. But Perks was really, really solid. I'm really, really impressed with it. Not to mention the fact that it is one of those rare movies that was written, adapted, and directed by the original author. That is very rare. William Peter Blatty of The Exorcist 3 is one of the only people to do that. So I'm just saying, all the praise. He's still pissed. Okay, all right. I think for Perks of being a wallflower.
The director of Exorcist 3.
He's also the author of The Exorcist.
And the author of The Exorcist 3.
The Exorcist 3 is technically an adaptation of the novel Legion.
Of course.
But Cabin in the Woods, we hardly knew ye. But Perks of Being a Wallflower, I was so impressed. I vote for it.
Tail.
So Cabin in the Woods was one of the first movies you used to try and soft launch me into horror. Because you were like, you can't not watch horror movies. And I was like, well, I don't. And you're like, how about The Cabin in the Woods? Which I think was a good starting point, actually, for me. Really love it. It's a movie I love rewatching. I think the cast is so fun. They understand exactly what movie they're in. And I just have a blast with it. I think it achieves exactly what it sets out to for me.
The irony being, there is no way in hell I'll ever be able to get her to watch Evil Dead.
No,
ever.
Literally never. Anyway, I'm voting for Cabin in the Woods. I know that everyone on planet Earth loves Perks of Being a Wallflower. I don't get it. I literally do not understand. I watch it and I'm like, I'm Mara right now. I feel nothing. I don't understand human emotion when I watch Perks of Being a Wallflower. So I apologize.
You're trying to be subversive, Taylor.
Everyone. But, I'm just here to cause chaos, basically, apparently, is what I'm here to do. So I will give Cabin in the Woods its lonely vote here because everybody else loves Perks, but I do not get it. It does nothing for me.
Mara?
Shockingly, Perks actually does do something for me. What is wrong with my cat? Are you broken? I don't know what he's doing. He's acting as if there's something in here. There's nothing in here. I also it's not like I don't have to look forward in the bracket to make my choices. What are you doing? Don't do that. You're going to hurt yourself. It's not like I make every choice looking forward, but at the same time, I have to think about what may come in the future. And we have an amazing, and I don't want to use the word better, but I just mean if I were looking at putting the two horror comedies that we've already seen right now, Happy Death Day and The Cabin in the Woods next to each other, which could happen, I would choose Happy Death Day. And because we have a horror comedy, we have an amazing horror comedy, and I think one that has fewer small contrivances and plot holes, albeit they're two very, very different movies. I think that Perks of Being a Wallflower is probably one of the only. Stop what you're doing! Are you possessed by Satan? My brother in Christ, what is wrong with you? Oh, I told you don't do it. I told you don't do it. I told you not to do it. Your chunky butt just fell. Mayor of Chonktown just fell flat on his cat chunk ass. All right, that's fine. He's fine. He's not hurt. He's fine. but like other coming of age movies that we've talked about in this bracket have not worked for me, but this one does. So yeah, I'm gonna make sure my cat doesn't end himself because I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he thinks he sees or what he thinks is in here. I don't know what's happening. Also, I decided to do Uber Eats. I never order Uber Eats. They had buy one get one free acai bowls, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, buy one get one free acai bowls. This thing is as big as my fucking face. It has taken me 4 days to eat them. Buy one get one free acai bowls. I got that entire order for $20, including tipping my driver. What?
Wow. Not only that, but it's acai, so you should like eat that. Like, you should space that shit out when you eat it. And I mean shit, like literally. You don't shit your brains out.
Marisol?
Oh. I mean, it's one of those rare times where mom was gonna just say what she's gonna vote for and move on. I'm voting for Perks of Being a Wallflower. Everybody, I have nothing to contribute to this discussion. I'm voting for Perks of Being a Wallflower.
What the fuck did I tell you?
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, because you're a moron.
I actually didn't.
Because you're an idiot.
Genuinely thought I was going to be the one.
You always find your way to.
Wait, I half was paying attention. Wait, was I the deciding vote?
No, I was the only one who voted for Cabin in the Woods, and because he was like, "Well, you're not going to be the only one that does that," because like he's a fucking moron.
I genuinely thought Perks was being eliminated today. Like,
you do not pay attention, do you?
Yeah,
you're so oblivious.
I've been on record. Perks is one of my all-time favorite films. It's
you and everybody else on planet Earth. Just because you live with me doesn't mean other people don't like it.
Yeah. So like I
don't know. I think it subverts expectations that I voted for it.
Nah. All right.
Way to go, Jacob.
No, it's just I knew it was gonna happen because I can't have nice things. I just knew it was coming.
Oh, welcome to the club.
All righty. Next up, well, with that, Perks of Being a Wallflower moves on to the next round. I was not expecting that. All right. Next up, The Spectacular Now versus Us.
Okay.
Marisol, would you like to go first?
Okay. I'll not belabor this. I'm gonna just vote for Us here. Because even on a rewatch, like I am definitely gonna vote for Us, just because I think the performances are stronger in this movie than they are in Spectacular Now. I'm just gonna say it. Lupita Nyong'o is that chick. I can't say she's underrated or underappreciated because she is a literal Oscar winner. So I'm not gonna go that far, be that disillusioned. But as we know with the horror genre, she is yet another unsung performance in the horror genre from the 2010s. Us really grew on me on a rewatch, and I still think it is thematically sprawling and a little messy. I absolutely do. I think that it is. Peele shoots everything. He got this out quick after Get Out, which was such a focused, laser-focused, tight, thematically tight movie. I think he was like, throw all the ideas out there. He was like, I got everything I want to say in this one, and threw it out there. He got focused again with Nope. But Us, I think he was throwing a lot of ideas out there, throwing them at the dartboard. I don't think they all quite gel, but Us, especially when you rewatch it, you appreciate the artistry and the ambition a lot more, and the abstractness of it. I just like the not literalness of the horror allegories in it. I don't know how to say that in a convincing way, but it made me feel like, again, which is no surprise that Peele went on to revive The Twilight Zone. Us is a wonderful episode, as a lot of Jordan Peele movies have proven to be. Us is a particularly wonderful, ambitious episode of The Twilight Zone. stretched out to feature length, and also R-rated and pretty nasty and violent. And I like all the ideas behind it. I like the ambition of it without needing it to tie everything up in a really clean bow that makes sense, that is tangible, that makes sense in the real world. I appreciate that about Us. All the performances elevated. I love Winston Duke's really deftly aloof, nerdy dad, big protector, but also big-hearted and pretty goofy. I like the layers of Winston Duke's performance. I think that's not an easy performance to pull off. The kids are distinct and funny and charming, and haven't seen them in anything since, at least on the big movie scale. Spectacular Now, I've said it before, I get hung up with the one-sidedness of the relationship. There's a lot of painful, I think there are good examples of painful. Perks of Being a Wallflower is just one key example of difficult coming-of-age movies. Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl is another great example in our 2010s bracket of all of these movies kind of stacked against. You stacked Me, Earl, and Dying Girl and Perks of Being a Wallflower against Spectacular Now. They both will blow Spectacular Now out of the water to me. And I feel the one-sidedness of the relationships in the core of Spectacular Now. I always feel so much for Shailene Woodley in this, because it is a one-sided relationship. I feel like this girl is giving everything to this guy. And yes, he has a lot of demons. He's a teenage alcoholic. He has a lot of demons. He has a terrible relationship with his father, a painful relationship with his father. But the sheer lack of redeeming qualities in him, the sheer lack of awareness of the people around him in every aspect really kills it really, like, I ask myself the two times that I've watched this movie is, why is this guy our protagonist? Why is this guy our protagonist? Of all the characters in this movie who are juggling a lot of complicated emotions, but still trying to show up and be better persons to the people around them, why is he the asshole who is the protagonist here? Like, why is he the one whose arc that we have to be invested in the most? Why is Miles Teller's character the person we have to be invested in the most, more than all these other characters who are juggling with it but deciding to rise above? And that always holds me back with the Spectacular Now. It always keeps me from being fully invested in it, and I feel more for all of the supporting characters more than the central character in it. And that's a tricky thing in a coming-of-age movie about a young person trying to figure out their way in the world. That's a bad mix. I don't hate the movie as much as I just made it sound like I hated the movie. But it is definitely not going to win over Us. So I'm going to vote for Us.
I don't know if it's still true, but when the movie Us came out, I tended to be the person who liked it more than most people. I think a lot of people have come around to it more as time has passed, but for me, Us was a movie I walked out of and I was like, I need to go sit in a room by myself and think for a while about everything that just happened to me watching this movie. It was one of those movies that it doesn't answer a lot of its questions that it gives you. And I kind of love that about it. It doesn't have everything resolved. It's a movie that I still think about like super often. I'll just find myself thinking about it and thinking about the themes and the questions that it asks and the just kind of the psychological horror of it really stuck with me. And a lot of that is down to Lupita Nyong'o's performance, because she is astonishing. Like, she is great in this movie. And it's just it's right up there with me, like, for me with Get Out. Like, it's a movie that I think is so different from Get Out in its execution and the kind of story that it's trying to tell, but I just think it's so effective in getting me to just think about it. So I love Us, and I have since the first time I saw it. Spectacular Now, I actually watched for this bracket. And I liked it more than I thought I would because I'm not huge on Shailene Woodley or Miles Teller. But I really enjoyed them together in this film. I liked it. Like I liked it way more than I thought I would. But like when you put it up against Us, like there's just not a conversation to be had for me. Like that's a little bit unfair. It's gonna make me sound like I don't like the Spectacular Now, but I really actually do. So,
Mara?
I can't do this right now.
Okay. Sorry. Adam?
Yeah, I think The Spectacular Now has some good acting in it. I think it's competently made. And I think Shailene Woodley and Bob Odenkirk are two of the standouts of the movie. As someone who has been the direct boss of people who let you down, I've been in Odenkirk's shoes where you just have someone who is just like a problem, and you're like, yeah, well, I've given you like 18 chances, and it's time to just like let this one lie. I really, the fact that like my big takeaway from Spectacular Now is I sympathize with the manager of Men's Warehouse. And I've never even run a Men's Warehouse, but I'm just saying, goddamn. And also as the guy who snuck a flask into Kong Skull Island, this kid's a drunk. Okay, like goddamn, like it's aggressive. And I'm with you. I'm Taylor, Marisol. Everything about Us really speaks to me because the first time I saw it, I was completely wrapped up in it, but I walked away from it with the like it obviously we're all comparing it to Get Out, and that's just what we do with filmmakers. But I kept trying to remind myself, like, no, he didn't have the runway. He didn't, like you were saying, he didn't have the time to workshop this idea. This was more raw, and he kind of just ran with the concept. And that's why I find it very thrilling, because Get Out is I have very few notes, if any, about Get Out on a rainy day. Like it's nearly perfect in my mind. I think he executed it very well. But Us, he had to whip together a bit faster. And I think it says a lot about a filmmaker to put together a project in haste because there's a lot of pressure on you because you're the new big thing, and to deliver something that's actually substantive and interesting. And the thing I really like about Us is every time I rewatch it, it does get better. And while if you put a gun to my head, sure, I like Get Out more, I guess. But Us is fascinating. And it's fascinating because it delivers on a very instinctual concept of not only imposter syndrome, but the idea of feeling like there's another part of yourself that you can't quite account for. And yeah, I really dig Us. I love that it nails the comedy as well. It doesn't stop being funny while also being unsettling the entire time. So I vote for Us as well.
Yeah, I'm also gonna vote for Us. I really love Spectacular Now. It is one that I really do love as well. I just Us is one of those movies where it has really grown on me a lot over time, and a lot more than when I first saw it, because I was more I really liked this. I didn't love it when I first walked out, and the more time and the more I've seen it, it's just really grown on me, and I really do appreciate it. I don't think it's any. I don't. Yeah, like I'm very thankful for this bracket that it put us and Get Out on complete opposite sides. So like they can eventually go up against each other, but it's going to be in the top 16. Like that's the only way it can. Because yeah, you are right, Adam, where you like inherently you compare them, but they're not similar at all. Like they are very different movies, and I think what Us is able to do is unique in its approach, and I just really, really dig, especially Lupita's performance. I love Lupita's performance, so I am going to go with Us. Mara?
Okay, I'm glad this shook out this way. I just didn't want... I wanted to vote for Us. That was exactly what I wanted to do, but I wanted to make sure that if for some reason there was a tie to be broken, that I just made sure I put deliberate thought into it, because I do really enjoy The Spectacular Now. It subverted every one of my expectations, because at the time I did not have any appreciation for Miles Teller. I do now a lot of appreciation for him. I also thought Shailene Woodley was fine. But I really like the movie, because the movie itself just, walks into every single like coming of age and like, romantic cliche that you can possibly do. And then instead of walking through the door, it says, "Oh no, I have to go get my bag. I'm not ready yet." Like I was so prepared to be like, okay, now they're gonna do this thing, and then they just adult the shit out of the movie and actually write a really smart, realistic feeling script. And I deeply appreciate it so much. But I, very much like Taylor, was early on one of the people, because I know a lot of people that I knew walked out of the movie and they were like, wow, well, let's not Get Out. And I'm like, okay, that's okay that you think that, but this thing grabbed me, and it is absolutely a movie I like better. I'm not saying that is a reflection of its quality. I'm saying what it said to me and what it spoke to me. I have a deep connection to this movie, and I love that it helped to communicate the concept to other people in a way that I wasn't even smart enough to ever explain to other people. Like this movie is brilliant, and it is my favorite Jordan Peele movie by a mile. Again, I'm not saying best, I'm saying favorite. But yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm so excited that it's going to continue here, and I'm also so excited that everyone else likes it too. So yay.
All right. Well, that is round 2 done. Let's actually not too bad. We actually got through that relatively unscathed, I think.
Yeah.
Round 3 might be this will be the most brutal round 3 I think we've ever had.
Probably.
Yeah. So our
No, I don't think so. The one where we basically got rid of every movie I loved hurt pretty bad.
Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been there.
That's fair.
But
all right. Well,
let's do it.
First up, Get Out versus Gravity.
Get Out. Get Out.
Get Out.
I voted for Gravity last time, but I'm not doing it again.
Mara?
There's no contest. It's Get Out.
Yeah.
Adam?
The thing about Dances with Wolves is you just don't appreciate it until Get Out. Get Out. And I'm
just going to assume
Marisol's making a drink over there.
I'm going to assume that Marisol, do you want to scream out your answer?
Lady.
I'll make another sunken place cocktail, so I think you know that's my answer.
And she didn't. She just gave me a beer because she's like, "You know what you get." I'm making one drink.
Oh man, this could be a freaking whitewash. this okay. So far, Get Out is the only movie to have gone 5-0 in everything it's done so far. And yes, I actually kind of realized what I said with a whitewash. I didn't.
Here, Jacob. You better.
Yeah, the blacket.
I was wondering if you saw the look I gave you.
Yeah, no, I realized after I said, I went, hey, no, I meant like this is a wipeout. This could get ugly very quickly.
That's gotta go in the highlight reel.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right.
Next
up, Happy Death Day versus The Martian.
Man, these ones are so easy.
This is not easy for me. I'm sorry. This one's not easy for me, and so I'll start, and then you guys can all just hurt my feelings.
Okay.
Okay.
I love Happy Death Day. Happy Death Day is awesome. It is a great horror movie. I said this. It's not The Martian. Martian's a top 10 film from this decade for me. I love this movie so freaking much. So I'm going with The Martian.
Let me ask you, Jacob, would you eat the potatoes?
If I was desperate on Mars, yes.
Would you eat his potatoes right now?
No. But that's not I don't need to.
I'm just saying. I wanted a straight answer. That means you don't love the movie. I'm just saying. Okay.
Adam, I'll go to you.
Yeah, no, I'm not that grumpy about The Martian. I think it's cute. And I think it's got a great cast. Great big dad energy, like I said. I'm on board with all that. But the thing that's cool about Happy Death Day is no one was asking for that. Christopher Landon just showed up and he was like, I'm gonna do I have this concept that's a play on Groundhog Day, and I'm just gonna lean into it with confidence without worrying about like being too similar. And that's the thing. Like, we get so worried because it is a problem. Movies are incredibly derivative. That's just part of art. It's not exclusive to filmmaking. Like, everything's an imitation of something. But when you imitate something and you do it with the confidence of your own perspective, that's what I think Landon brings to Happy Death Day that's so special. And I'm not diminishing The Martian at all, because I think it's a really well-made movie about being lost and left for dead. And I think Ridley Scott continues to surprise us in the late stage of his career with his movies. Like, he just does these one-offs like that. Just for me, like a couple years ago, it was The Last Duel. I had no expectations. I was like, whatever. And I saw that movie. I was like, holy shit. Like, I don't think it needed to be nominated for Best Picture, but it was way better than I thought. Right.
Better than House of Gucci.
Oh God. We were all there. Sack of potatoes. Speaking of potatoes, wow, I just made that connection. Ridley Scott. Happy Death Day. Let's keep this moving. Let's keep the train rolling down the tracks. There you go,
Marisol. Actually, no, hang on, no, wait, no. I'll come back to you. No, I'm gonna come back. Marisol, I'm gonna come back to you, and you will understand why. Taylor.
Are you literally putting Marisol at the back of the bus? That's fucked up.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Mara. Thank you.
You just whitewashed everything?
Oh,
like, what is wrong with you?
Taylor, can you, Taylor?
Yes.
Could you please vote?
First the men go first. Then it's white women, then women of color. What is wrong? And I'm assuming we're going shades of darker as we go.
Call it out, Mara. Call it out.
It will make sense in a minute, I promise.
Will not be invited back for the next bracket.
Damn right. Sinister agenda unsheathed.
He started it.
I don't know if I want to involve myself in whatever's happening here.
None of this
Yeah,
is
actually, no. I'm going to go to Mara. Actually, no. Sorry, I am. I'm Mara. You're next. I'm going to go to you next, and then
I almost don't want to play. I don't want to give you this win.
All
right, I forgive you. The Martian is fun, but it's not Happy Death Day. I'm going to vote for Happy Death Day.
Okay, now you know what I'm trying to do. Marisol, it is now your opportunity to kill the Martian. You get the vote that kills it.
Oh,
that's why I was like, oh, hang on, no, wait, I'm not gonna let you go next.
Look, I'm not seek. Okay, I take no joy in squashing on the dreams and hopes. All right.
Really? Really?
I tried. Look, it brings me no joy. No. Look, as a resident dream crushy, like in this bracket, having her dreams crushed, having her favorite movies just stomped out of this bracket. Look, I'm not spiteful. Does it make me sound like I'm that spiteful witch? Because I'm not. But that being said, I will gladly lay the vote. All right. I am definitely going to vote for Happy Death Day for sure over The Martian. Look, people jive with it more than I do. I said a couple positives about it. Look, didn't I? I was like, science. Look, I was like, science for the win. Like, but you can do survivalist comedies with so much more tension and stakes. Look at just Shaun of the Dead. Look at like these movies. You can do comedy. You can do comedy in a death like defying situation, but still have the stakes be there. Mm-hmm. And my biggest hold up with The Martian is the smugness and the fact that there are no snakes. No snakes. There are no snakes. All right, that's another thing. There's no snakes in it. There's no snakes. All right. Low key complaint. There are no snakes in it. There are also no stakes. Yeah, there are also no stakes. Yeah,
it could have. They really could have like capitalized on like doing a more high stakes version of Snakes on a Plane by being like snakes on a spaceship, and really felt lost because they didn't do that.
Missed opportunity. Thank you. Taylor knows what I'm talking about. Thank you. But yes.
About the snakes.
Sorry, Jacob. Sorry, not sorry. Fuck you, Jacob. I'm voting for Happy Death Day.
And your snakes.
And hashtag snakes should be on Mars.
That's our big takeaway.
You're right over there?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. Because Happy Death Day is going through, I'm going to give The Martian some more love because I do enjoy that movie. But if it was down to it, I would vote for Happy Death Day. But I do want to give The Martian some love.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, Happy Death Day does go through. Something I am actually very happy about, but we do say goodbye to The Martian. All right.
Next.
Shame versus Winter's Bone.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you don't get to have quite as much fun now. Marisol, I'll let you start.
Oh, fine. Okay, fine. Cool. Yeah, cool. I'll go. It's cool.
She can't do anything right
now. No.
Wait, great way to be a prick, man.
I look, my sassy claws.
Trying to win those points back by having her go first.
There's me pre that week 1 bracket and me post week 1 bracket. That week 1 bracket where my 5 favorite films were all had to cannibalize each other. I don't give a shit anymore. All right, so this is reckless me post that week 1 bracket. But I am going to go with there are little crickets outside our window right now. I don't know if that's coming through on the mic, but okay. I am gonna vote for Shame. I am gonna vote for Shame. It's tight. It's tough for me for all the reasons I said before. I do think both of these movies hinge on the central performances. They are led by the actor at the forefront. But I think that the fact that there's a little more going on beyond the surface. There's a little more subtext going on in Shame. Shame is an exciting movie for a film lover like me, and I think you as well, because of the ways that the audience gets to fill in the gaps, but not in a way as a result of lazy writing, a way of very clever writing and very thoughtful writing and very performance-driven writing, where you let the actors speak non-verbally, you create a character study with a lot of non-verbal acting, and then you let the audience fill in some of the cues and fill in some of the gaps with the cues from the actors' performances. Shame is a smorgasbord of exactly that kind of thing, and it's very exciting as a film lover, and a film watcher. Winter's Bone has absolutely elements of that, but not to the degree that Shame does. And for me, that makes one of them a slightly more tantalizing, engaging, breathlessly exciting movie to watch with a zero amount of action in it, but an exciting movie because of the depth of the acting in it. And Shame captivates me every time I watch it. So I'm going to vote for it over Winter's Bone, but I'm very happy Winter's Bone is here, and I won't be mad if it makes it through over Shame. I'm not going to be mad because it is an incredibly special movie, as I've already said before.
Mara.
This is tough, but it is Shame. It's more complex. It's got layers. And I'm not saying that it diminishes Winter's Bone, but I mean, it's a more straightforward type of investigation into a struggle. And I think that Shame's dissection of struggle is just so much more complex. And I mean, part of it is because you're dealing with a much more adult issue and adult people, but that just is what I'm gravitating towards in how I'm voting. So it is Shame. 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 I just did my Game of Thrones rewatch, so. And I didn't know that was Hannah Waddingham until like I literally just rewatched it because I'm stupid.
Isn't that awesome though to note that? Like, yeah, like she's a glamazon in one show and
Death Nun
and
Steph
Nurse
Unella
Ratched
in the other one.
Squared in like another show. Yeah,
it's wild.
Adam.
Yeah, I think the reason I responded to Shame the way I did is because it's especially popular in television to serialize storytelling based around the premise of sex. You know, like that is very, very common. And it's a good premise for storytelling if you're going to explore the themes earnestly. But the thing I like about Shame is it goes way beyond that. It's beyond sex being lurid or cute or enticing. It really lays it out on a human level, and I think it's important for movies like this to come along once in a while that really lay out the reality of what goes into people's personalities. And obviously Fassbender's character is an extremity of that, but I also think there's truth to his character that most people can connect to on some level, and that's why I think the film is so daring and interesting. And Winter's Bone, I've already given it praise. It's a very well-made film with great acting. I intend to revisit it, but Shame, I just think is adult, but not arbitrarily, and that's the key. It's NC-17, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and like I forgot that it was, honestly, like because
12-year-olds can find more explicit porn for free on the internet.
Everything serves the story in that film. And it's
just saying.
Yeah, I think it's a great movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give some love to Winter's Bone because it doesn't really matter at this point, and I think they're both great for very different reasons. But
I do.
Yeah, but like So yeah, I'll give some love to Winter's Bone because I think it deserves it at this point. I don't think it deserves to get like completely swept.
Get swept. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to also lean towards Winter's Bone just because, yeah, like I said, like Shame, this is splitting hairs pick right now. I think both of them are incredible movies, but I personally think I gravitate a little bit more towards Winter's Bone. But yeah, again, both fantastic films. So but with that being said, Shame does move on to the final four. And lastly, The Perks of Being a Wallflower versus Us.
I'm gonna go first, which should surprise nobody. Which should surprise absolutely nobody.
So Perks,
I will lock you out of this apartment.
Floor is yours.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, you know, you're gonna get a win out of this, and you're still being a dickhead.
I don't think I am.
You probably will. So I'm voting for Us. Because again, Perks does not do anything for me. And after seeing Us, I walked out of the theater and went, maybe like I just exist on the same like psychological plane as Jordan Peele because no one else seems to get it. Like we walked out of the theater and I felt like everyone else was just kind of like not sure what to do with it. And I just get it. Maybe not the way he meant it, maybe the way he meant it, but it just works for me. And it's a movie that I think about all the time. And even though like it does genuinely creep me out and genuinely scare me, it's just one of those movies that I appreciate so much for the swings that it's taking and for how different it was to Get Out, while still just being awesome. So I am voting for Us.
Mara?
Us.
No elaboration needed.
It's maybe one of the movies in this entire bracket that I feel most connected to. And I mean, Perks is great, but like I grew up already.
Marisol.
Nope.
She said
That's
no.
not in this bracket.
Oh, okay.
Adam, I didn't vote for nope. I just said pass. Oh, that was pass.
Adam, I'll let you go next.
No, you know what's cool is I think The Perks of Being a Wallflower could be a working title for us in a way, especially once you get to that final act. Kind of makes sense in a way. I'm just saying. But yeah, her eyes are rolling back into her skull. I'm used to this.
They're right here. Just keep moving.
Yeah, I think the reason Us resonates is because Jordan Peele had to write that quick. He went with his gut, and I think that's why it has such staying power with a lot of folks. Taylor, you bringing up that you felt like you were a bit on an island after the movie came out. I understand what you're saying, but it's interesting. I remember hearing a few critics at the time and people who were really enthusiastic about the film feeling like they were the outliers in a way because they were like, I think I like this more than Get Out. I don't know. Like, is there something? What's wrong with me? There's nothing. It's a good movie. That's all it is. Like, we don't need to like overthink it. It's just a good movie. It is. And every time I rewatch Us, it gets better. And I've watched Perks of Being a Wallflower for the first time. I gave it its wallflowers. I did that. I had to. It
couldn't resist.
It's a good movie. All right. Perks of Being a Wallflower is a good movie. I was impressed, but I love Us, and I vote for it over the Perks. Yeah, over the Perks of the Wallflower of the being.
Well, Marisol, I think you and I are on our little island together. Oh, misfit toys. Marisol?
You know, I this is a dead heat for me. Like, I think these are both great movies.
Don't forget the snakes.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Wait. There are snakes in neither of these movies. So I think that is a negative against both of them. So there are not snakes in them. So I also think that both of these films, like, this is neck and neck for me. Because I think these are both great movies that have a couple ambitions and kind of oversights of the screenwriters holding them back. Like, I think the ambition, the loftiness of Jordan Peele makes us a little bit sprawling. And I do think Perks of Being a Wallflower, we talked about this. The fact that it's written by a guy who wrote the book and is reflective of his time in high school, the fact that you feel it in the screenplay and you feel it when you're watching the movie, these teenagers are speaking with knowledge of being in their 30s, even though they're teenagers. Like, you feel that in the script. And yeah, it's deep and it's reflective, and it makes millennials reflect, or even Gen X reflect on being a teenager in the early 90s. These characters still speak with wisdom well beyond their years. So that part is still a little hint of, like, these characters didn't, like, even the guy, Steve Shablonsky, he didn't think this when he was a kid. But he thinks this now when he was an adult writing about his perks of being a wallflower, you know, like, with the knowledge that he gained from life experience. So that thing, whenever I watch Perks of Being a Wallflower, that always, I'm like, like, that always holds me back just a hint. I still think the movie is beautiful and deep and thoughtful and endearing. But that level of the wisdom that some of these characters have beyond their years always kind of stands out to me. But so that kind of cancels out it compared to Us. It don't matter because Us is going on. But this was a tie for me. Honestly, it was a tie. So I'm just gonna vote for Perks, you know, just to keep it balanced a little bit here. I'm so cool with Us going forward. Great movie. But I think I'll just edge out Perks a little bit, maybe. Yeah.
I'm not mad at all that Us is going forward. Look, I've made fairly well known how much I love Perks Being a Wallflower, but I'm not mad at all that Us beat it. Like, if it was going to go down, I'm glad it went down swinging against Us. So, yep. That's it, guys. We have our final four. Get it for this bracket. Get Out, Happy Death Day, Shame, and Us.
Wow.
That went through.
All right, Jordan.
Like I said, there is a genuine chance on the Jordan Peele versus Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious given both of these were in the bracket and they were on the opposite side. They literally had to go perfect to do it. So
what do we got next week?
All right, let's look at next week. So next week is a very stark reminder that craziness can happen in this freaking draft.
Child.
So, Shape of Water, Tangled, Girls Trip, The Hunt, Can You Ever Forgive Me, Big Hero 6. Oh, need to remove that. The Artist, Fruitvale Station, MacGruber, Moonlight, Beautiful Boy.
You guys forget this.
All better be.
God damn it.
MacGruber.
Okay, we all better. Yes,
all watch it.
I will rewatch it. God damn it! I will fight rewatch it this week because we bought it.
Frank, Lion, Room, and The Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay.
Ooh, wow.
So that is next week's bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Heavy week.
Swear fucking Christ if MacGruber beats Moonlight.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you have to watch.
I love these mini alliances that they grow in the bracket. Jacob knows. Jacob and I can cry.
Is it within grabbing distance?
No,
it's buried in the ground.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not buried in the ground, but it is somewhere. I'm not sure where.
No, burying it right beneath the shrine for her. Okay, and then we'll be okay. Okay,
guys. Champs, where can we find you?
Well, here for now. We'll get back to our channel once the bracket show wraps. Basically, that's kind of the idea.
kind of, yeah.
Kind of. We're not precluding any other possibilities, but
yeah. In the meantime, on Letterboxd, I'm gonna update my Letterboxd. Get back there because I've watched a ton more movies and I haven't updated them on Letterboxd. But Letterboxd,
we rewatched the Back to the Future trilogy and we yelled at each other the whole time.
We did.
Yeah.
Marisol Mariah Eisenthor on Letterboxd.
That's us.
That's us.
And Champs on Film.
And also on Twitter.
We'll get you where you need to be.
Ma?
I'm not real. I am a figment of your imagination. I'm the thing that is lurking under your bed at night and is in your closet, and the cat is she's just trying to destroy the laptop. I will be feeding them shortly because they are beasts. That's what I'm up to.
Tell.
Yeah, all the usual places. Twitter, just yelling about stuff all the time. Letterboxd, also yelling about stuff all the time. Those are the two main places, really. At Finally Tailored on Twitter and Letterboxd. And here, regretting all of my decisions that led me to do this show. So,
you guys can find me pretty much everywhere at Jacob London. I am also currently back talking football as of Tuesday on the Notorious by Chance YouTube channel, Talking Football, because it starts in 2 weeks. This Sunday in 2 weeks, football is back. God help us all. And attempting to platinum games on PlayStation and screaming and yelling at a TV and waking Taylor up at 2 a.m. in the morning while doing so. But other than that, that is my life at the moment. I'm barely watching any movies.
Yeah, our movie watching has fallen off a bit of a cliff recently, but
the last movie we watched, I think, was Alien, and that was the last movie was Romulus. That was the last
probably.
Romulus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah.
It's that weird end of summer, no good movies coming out slump thing. So
I refuse to go watch The Crow.
Hey, go watch Harold and the Purple Crayon, guys. Go
all that. Yeah.
Go guys, support Zachary Levi. All right, that's in. That's totally in.
Thank you so much for joining the show. We will be back next week, hopefully. Until then, guys, we will see you next week.
Bye.